Hey guys, it's the Chippa here. Chris Chipman, patreon.com/the Chippa. Having this thought as I'm driving to work today, and before people click away thinking, oh, Avengers Endgame comes out tomorrow, or today for that matter, there's going to be spoilers or something like that. No, it's not. Don't worry, nothing spoiled in Endgame in this video. I've just been having some thoughts and I wanted to share them, and a lot of these thoughts come with kind of the state of the world. We're not necessarily living in the most good time right now for some people. World's a rough place. The United States, depending on what side of the coin you're on, is either doing great or not so great, as I think me and a lot of you watching this would agree, but we'll get better, hopefully. But that's not what this is about at all. This is a thought I've been having about community, about belonging. And I don't mean just like one specific group. I'm talking about everybody. This includes everybody. But I was standing in line at PAX East recently on the first day on Thursday, just in line outside the Boston Convention Center, which I had just been at a few weeks prior for a boat show. And going to a big convention center for a boat show, I'll call, is a more socially acceptable thing to do. You're not going to get made fun of or called a geek or called different or undermined for wanting to go to something like that at a big convention center. That's expected of somebody. Boating, same thing with like going to like a sports game would be. But I'm here to say that those things aren't exclusive. Those things are inclusive, and they should be anyway. And something that I saw while I was waiting outside of the Boston Convention Center for PAX East was inclusivity. This was a whole lot of people from many different walks of life, and I'm talking, you've got somebody in cosplay next to somebody with, a Bruins sweatshirt on, next to somebody, who probably stays up all night, playing Call of Duty and swearing and making fun of people. But there's something that brought all of these people together, and it was a love of, what would be looked at before as like counterculture, video games, movies, tabletop games, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, just nerdy, geeky things that I think back to, when I was younger, and these were the kind of things that, you'd have to go to the basement of a comic shop to talk about and find people that were the same. Just in the early days of the internet, this isn't something, that there'd be a giant chat room or a forum, bringing, hundreds of thousands of millions of people together like something like PAX East does. So I'm standing in line with all these people and realizing this is community, this is belonging, this is bringing people together. And it's kind of more recent that there's been events and things that could bring us all together that kind of merge their way into the public consciousness. You've got, a superhero film, for example, or a fantasy film. Not often were they something to bank on. I mean, remember, before The Lord of the Rings, these things weren't nominated for awards. These things didn't win awards. And that's not to say the ones that came before weren't deserving. It's something got the public eye. Something made people realize that, wait a minute, there's more of us that like this. There's more than just this small group. We're not pushed into lockers anymore. We're not made fun of. We're not worse, depending on what undermined walk of life or sense of belonging you didn't have. I'm coming here as a, I'll call it an entitled straight white guy, for example, or, however straight a human being can be. Well, let's just say I don't, who knows? But what I'm getting at is that I don't know what you're going through, person watching this. I don't know who's made fun of you. I don't know how you've been made to feel lesser or mediocre. But for an instance, we have these things that can bring us all together, that blur those lines, that divide, or not divide, that bring together and get rid of and make transparent those things that used to separate us. And we're able to have confidence and go to a place that should be safe. I don't even want to get into that. Like a convention, where everybody there is there for the, same thing, but different things, but all together. And we're all allowed to like that different thing without being made to feel less. And I've been talking with a lot of people lately about cynicism. It's very easy to be cynical about Star Wars now. It's very easy to be cynical about Marvel movies, superhero movies now, because, they've become mainstream. And the general public goes, a Marvel movie making $1 billion, a Star Wars movie making $1 billion, people would say, oh, that's just, because Disney is getting the monopoly and they're an evil corporate entity. And, there's some truth to all of that, but at the same time, they could be making crap. They could be making something that's condescending to you. And if you feel that maybe it's changed a little bit, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm saying that the vast majority of people, there's a feeling to be garnered, to be gained from this kind of stuff. And I'm speaking specifically because I've now seen Endgame, and I'm not going to say anything about it other than the sense of community, the sense of sitting in a movie theater and watching this movie, even with, a room full of movie critics, which I'm honored to have been able to go, and be part of that. Everybody, whether they're loving it, kind of loving it, kind of bothered by some parts, and I'm not saying that's the case with this, I'm just saying in general, with the community, there's something, a culmination of 11 years of 21 movies that were made for us, that were made to bring us together, no matter what walk of life, no matter how we looked at or approached it. If this is something that you're into at all, these were done with respect. These are done with confidence and competence. And that's not necessarily something that could always have been said about movies in this genre. They were looked at as something lesser, something to spend less money on, something to give to lesser directors, something that isn't worth marketing or banking on. And I think it's wonderful, whether you're fatigued. I mean, good on you if you're fatigued by it all, but I find it hard to be fatigued by this because it's all written so well and they're all trying so hard. And even when there's hiccups and mistakes, at the end of the day, they're making a quality product. They're not, Transformers sequels. And again, if that's your thing, great. But, they're embracing kind of this. It can be silly, it can be comic booky, but it can still be taken seriously. The same could be said about, recent releases like Shazam. Shazam was a DC movie that had respect for its audience, that had respect for its source material. I'm loving that we're seeing this. So I guess what I really want to say is community. Everybody out there that is excited about Avengers Endgame coming out this weekend, or excited about whatever thing you're into. And I use the term geek in a very broad perspective. The same geek that likes playing Dungeons and Dragons, if you're a sports fan and you like playing fantasy football, you're a geek. That's something you're into. That's stats, that's gatekeeping, that's, gatekeeping's a lesser good thing, but it's stats, keeping scores, tracking people. It's all the same thing. It's all hitting the same thing in your mind, that same thing that brings you together, that makes you you. And the fact that it's not just you, the fact that you're not alone in how you feel, is a really important, powerful thing. So I'll say this, on Thursday in the morning as I'm driving to work, I think this is the 24th or the 25th, I believe, of April 2019. This community of people is all going to be brought together by a film that is the culmination of 11 years of films that, no matter how cynical you want to be, is a culmination of effort of hundreds of thousands of people that all just want you to feel connected. And, you'd say they're doing that to make money, fine, whatever. But I don't feel that way. If I feel I'm holding a quality product in my hand, if I'm watching a quality product, if I'm watching something that speaks to me on an emotional level, like these movies have had a tendency to do, then who cares what they're setting out to achieve? Who cares what speculation I think they're setting out to achieve? If it brings me and it brings all of you together at the same time, that's a wonderful thing. So, as you're all getting ready to go see Avengers Endgame today, just remember that I'm there with you. We're connected, we're a community, and I just want you to know that I accept you, and we should all accept each other, and don't spoil this movie for people, because it's going to be a very important thing, and let's all just come together and enjoy it. This is Chris Chipman signing out. Catch you guys on the other side.